My parents immigrated to the United States with 2 suitcases and $500, and the belief that America was the leading economy in the free world that would reward their ambition, and where innovation was boundless. My dad, his first job in the United States was as a postdoctoral researcher at Ohio State University. And my mom, she didn't work. She was having my older sister. My dad, the very first year that he was here, he was making $1,000 a month. No assets, no safety net, just real hard work and a lot of hope. Growing up, that meant that we didn't eat out much. We're always clipping coupons. And I can remember even as a little kid, I knew and I told myself that I didn't just want to work hard like my parents. I wanted to make a lot of money. So when I first learned about investing, the riches of Wall Street and these hedge fund billionaires, I knew that's what I wanted to do. So in 2nd grade, I convinced my parents to open me a custodial brokerage account on Scottrade, one of the original online brokerages, where back in the day it was $7 a trade, $7 commission. And from them, I asked to borrow $200 to get going. And to me, that little amount of money, that was my venture capital. I didn't really know what I was doing at the time. I probably lost a lot of money, and I actually did. But I knew why I was doing it. To me, it wasn't just about participating and watching the economy go by me anymore. It was owning a piece of it. You see, when you don't have that much as a kid, you start looking for leverage. And investing was my leverage. And that would change the way that I viewed my future forever. You see, what they didn't tell families like mine growing up is that to build real, lasting generational wealth in America, you can't just work in the economy. You need to own it. To illustrate this, the American markets over the last 100 years has compounded and grown at a rate of 10% every single year. American companies, the greatest in the world, have created tens of trillions of dollars of wealth. But that prosperity has not been distributed equally. The top 10% of Americans, they own 90% of the stock market's wealth. In fact, 40% of Americans don't even own a single stock. This isn't just income inequality, it's ownership inequality. If you don't own assets, you're not growing. If you're not growing, you're not compounding. If you're not compounding, you fall further and further behind day by day. And you see, this isn't just about the rich potentially working harder. This isn't just about baseline intelligence. This is about ownership and participating in a future that is equal. And for most people in the United States, if your parents were investing, you're significantly more likely to invest. And if your parents didn't, you probably don't either. And this inequality, it's passed down silently and deadly from generation to generation. And as growing up, these beliefs of mine, they only compounded further and further. But it wasn't until 2021 that I actually had a chance to do something about it. Just a year earlier, I'd sold my first company. I'd worked at Apple for a little bit, and I decided to go back to school at the age of 18. As luck would have it, I started Harvard during the fall of 2020. I was the very first generation of college students to start college during COVID. And with social distancing and having a ton of time on my hands, I did the one natural thing that I knew how to do well. I was investing and trading all day long. I couldn't have started at a more opportune time in 2021. The year earlier, we had the crazy COVID crash. The market receded by 20-30%. But then the next year after, we had an incredible recovery. In fact, the markets had never been frothier, probably over the past 20 years since the dot-com boom. And the assets driving the frothiness in the market, and the all-time highs, remember the very first meme stocks, crypto, SPACs, and more. And during this era, tens of millions of Americans started investing for the first time, chasing these highs. And as you know, the old adage goes, retail investors, they buy high and they sell low, and that's exactly what happened. Because the markets happened to crash again for a major recession in 2020. And it wasn't just money that was lost with these Americans that started investing. It was trust in the system. And I thought to myself, sitting there in my dorm room, there had to be a better way. There had to be a better way for people to still invest for long term, but do it in a safe way where the money actually compounded. And as watching all of this go down, there's one phenomenon that I saw that really stuck out to me. It was that this new generation of investor, they weren't like me 10 years ago, sitting up at screens and looking at the numbers to trade. It was about following people and ideas that drove their investing decisions. It was the social media with influencer investing coming together for the very first time. And it made a ton of sense to me. With the rise of Web 2, social media, mobile phones, and the internet, that's how we make a lot of our decisions and everything that we do. We see a TikTok and we go on Amazon to go buy this thing. And it was coming to investing for the very first time. But as we saw in 2021, that behavior could be incredibly dangerous and could lose the power of investing for the regular average person. So I thought, how do we still enable people to invest by following the individual and ideas they trust, but doing it in a way where they aren't gambling and doing it in a way that they would actually stay invested for the long term? And that question is what became my company, Dub. So 7 months into Harvard, I decided to drop out. I wanted to work in this company, and I had one dream. It was to create the greatest financial institution for the next generation of investor. So I took my entire life. Over a weekend, I moved to New York City, and my mission was to make all Americans investors, to simplify investing, and to also make it safer, to enable any investor to invest just like the experts so that they don't have to become experts themselves. And today, that's what Dub is. Dub is the very first platform built for investing, where instead of picking individual stocks to invest, you mirror the investments of vetted expert investors with real track records, and they do all the hard work for you. We fundamentally think this is the better way to invest, because most people will never have the time to become experts. It takes decades, and the best in Wall Street still lose money every single day. It's better just to do what the rich do, which is to trust someone who's doing this already and knows how to manage money. But now democratize it and bring it to everyday investors with as little as $100. And today I'm lucky that the company has now reached 2 million people who've downloaded our product. The company is worth over 9 figures, and I think we're just getting started, the precipice of this revolution to bring investing for the long term into the hands of all Americans. But this isn't just about one company. It's about expanding the American dream. You see, that used to mean owning a home. But in the 21st century, that must also mean ownership. Ownership in the companies building the future of artificial intelligence, biotechnology, clean energy. Because when only small fraction of people own the future, only small fraction of people will believe in it. That $200 loan all those years ago, it didn't just change my bank account. It changed my identity. It showed me that ownership, it creates leverage. It creates belief. It creates freedom. And today, that's more important than ever, that we bring to the hands of everybody. You see, when people actually own a piece of the future, they protect it. They invest in it. And yes, they believe in it. And they put behind it not just their hard-earned money, but hope. Ownership is the new American dream, and it's time we make it accessible to everybody. Thank you.